Welcome in everyone to episode 114 of Instigate Success, Building an ABA Franchise, official podcast of the Hoosier State Instigators. Your host, as always, here, Jake Schoen, aka Jakey Muffins, here to cover some ABA news, catch us back up, and take a look at what we got here for the Instigators. We'll be taking a look primarily as far as our division, the Instigators, and Happy New Year, everyone. It is 2026, so Happy New Year. Hopefully, everyone's enjoying the holidays. I know we had off as far as the podcast goes last weekend. We are back now, and we'll be going full throttle into stuff next week. So we are off again this week. So we're just going to kind of recap some stuff, take a look around the league, and see, again, primarily our division, kind of how things are shaking up as we go into the new year, see where the Instigators fall, as well as the rest of the division, kind of put a path down and look into what we have to do to try to get the playoffs started this year. So without further ado, let's jump into that. And we'll take a look over at some of the scores from the past few weeks. Again, we were off last week as far as the podcast, and the team also had a bye week last week. We've got a bye week this week, and then we do return to action the following week. So next week, we are back on the court. So let's jump over to the screen here. The scores, and again, still having some difficulties with my computer here, so I am just using the touchscreen to run this. So if you see me getting closer, whatever, to the screens, that is what I'm doing. So taking a look back, the last week of games that we covered would have been this week that I've got pulled up there, the 13th and the 14th. So we'll take a look at the following week. So the 20th, Saturday, December 20th. We haven't gone over yet. But you see on here, we had a couple of bigger games as far as within the division, kind of set up for that weekend. So Indiana Lions, one of the teams in our division there, taking on the Steel City Yellow Jackets, one of the top ranked teams within the nation. Loss for the Lions, 125, 157. Yellow Jackets have been pretty good this year. If you've been following them, fairly certain they're going to stay within those rankings. We'll pull up the power rankings after we go over this. But the Yellow Jackets also knocked off the Chicago Fury earlier this year, the defending champions. One of the few losses the Fury have had over the past few years, with their losses this year, there are a few of them on the record. Um, and a lot of that again does have to do with the way the schedule is set up now, as far as within the ABA. They did kind of rearrange the scheduling, and it made it so a lot of teams have to play, kind of similarly ranked opponents as far as like historically from year to year. Kind of more similar to what you see within a lot of the professional leagues, especially where you have the teams within each of the divisions, like having to play the top teams within their respective division if they were the best team. Um, I think the easiest scheduling, when I think of it, it's not easy, but the easiest scheduling to look at and kind of compare year to year is the NFL scheduling. Um, there's also like a specific number of games. It's a little bit shorter than some of the other professional sports, when it comes to like the NBA or the MLB. The NFL's got 18 games. It is expanded up to 18. It was, 16. Um, but it's pretty easy to kind of follow how the NFL lays out their scheduling. Um, as far as how it does go, as when it with the teams that they play, I should say, the teams that they play in the schedule. The actual schedule itself, there is a lot more complicated parts to that, but the actual schedule with the teams that they're playing is a little bit easier to follow. So with your division teams, you're going to have to play them twice, home and away series, and then the remainder of the teams or those games typically rotates between um, opponent divisions, so not your division, but divisions within your conference, and then the opposing conference, and then it's ranked as far as the team that you're going to play in each of those other conference or the other divisions based off of your respective finish in your division the previous year. So if you're the best team in your division, you're going to play the best team in another division. If you're the lowest ranked team in your division, you're going to play the lowest ranked team in the other division. So they kind of did a similar approach to that this year with the ABA, which is why we've got some of these games. Like the Fury games that we have seen, the Fury wound up there. They've had a lot of travel actually this year. So the Fury played the Buffalo Extreme. Buffalo Extreme, the top ranked team in their division, best finishing last year. Steel City Yellow Jackets, same kind of situation there. So that kind of explains why you're seeing some of these games. That's something that's been more streamlined for this year with the ABA and how they're pushing to do scheduling. It also is going to explain, why our schedule looks a little bit different. Traditionally we have been playing. You can kind of just make your own schedule, play the teams that you do reach out to and you want to play. But this year we have a little bit more of that narrow scheduling, where we have an idea of the teams that we do have to play. So again, that explains the multifaceted part of the scheduling this year in the ABA. But that's part of the reason why you see that game there, the Lions and the Yellow Jackets. Another big game here between the Aces and the Kings. Those are the two top teams within our division, the ABA Central Region Red Division. Nashville 133, Kings 109. We're going to take a quicker look at this one, deeper look at this one. But that gives the Kings their second loss. The only losses for the Kings on the year have come against the Aces. Aces have been very dominant this year. Before the holiday season, the number two ranked team in the nation. Fairly certain they held on to that rank as far as that goes. And we can see here the Aces, 41 points for George Stanberry, 29 for Marquand Tucker, and double digits for Lockett, Madison, and Wells. And then as far as the other categories on there, Jamario Rivers with 10 assists, leading the way on that. Kind of surprising actually when you look at that. Jamario, one of their guys that's been on the team the past few years, one of their best players, year over year. Power forward leading the way with 10 assists and 10 rebounds. So a double double on that effort there, even though he only did have 6 points, but efficient from the field as far as shooting goes. So that's an interesting stat line. Maybe not necessarily one I would have expected to fall that way. As far as the double double goes, I wouldn't put it past Jamario to have the double double, but the rebound and assist portion is probably not what I would have expected. But pretty handedly win there for the Aces. We've seen that throughout the year. And then we've got in not in our division, but in our region, and a team that we will be playing later this year, the Windy City Inferno with a 105-76 win over the Chicago Rebels. Inferno also have been ranked in the top 25 throughout the year. Within our division, we've got the Louisville Pros. Louisville Pros fall to the Missouri Capitals, 104-135. And it looks like the Phoenix and the Fury, typically that's a forfeit as far as, yeah, forfeit. So I'm guessing the Fury won that game. Around the league, we've got the Austin Bats, one of the other top-ranked teams in the league, 152-136 over the Texas Purple Kings. And again, not in our division, but in our region, we've got the Chicago Knights with 188 over 145 atop of the Wisconsin Frost. Jump ahead in that division game for them. And I don't think we actually covered this, now that I think about it, because we had the last week off, but a 1 point victory for your Hoosier State Instigators, 130 over the Indiana Legends. Let's pull that up. So that puts us at 3-3 on the record books. Indiana Legends at 4-5, and that could be a potentially big one when it comes to the division standings down the road there. It looks like we got the stats for the Legends on here. We see Mike Saunders Jr. with 47 points. Obviously, very good shooting wise from the field there. We've also got Nishan Harbor with 24 points, Reed 19, and Parker 13. 10 rebounds to lead the way for Giles Jr. But 47, that's one of the higher scoring efforts that we've seen against your Hoosier State Instigators. And hopefully we get stats up on our end over on our website. And this is actually a division game too. Knoxville Commerce in our division, 97-77 over the Mississippi Delta Lucky Ducks. I believe that is the Commerce first win on the season. We'll double check that, but I believe that is the case. Buffalo Extreme, one of the top teams in the nation, 114-100 over the Syracuse Monarchs. And Silicon Valley Panthers, 156-95 over the not Chicago, California Golden Tigers. Keeps the Panthers undefeated on the season. Again, one of the other top ranked teams in the nation. Looking at Sunday of that same weekend, the 21st, we have looks like another forfeit there with the Phoenix game. Windy City Inferno, I believe, get the victory there. Take a look. Chicago Fury got a game there, 175-105 over the ABA Nationals. Knoxville Commerce, that's going to be their second win on the year. We'll click on that. 133-130 over the Southwest Warriors. Let's check this out. Yeah, so that puts their second win on the year. 2-6. Another team within our division to keep an eye on. And as far as the week of the 28th, 21st, that pretty much wraps up for everything that has implications within our division and region. Then we take a look at this past weekend. Obviously a lot of teams did not play with the holidays and such, so a little bit slimmer on the scheduling. And then even with this weekend coming up, it is still a little bit slimmer because of all the holidays. So within our region, we've got the Chicago Rebels taking on the Chicago Knights. Knights on top, 120-90. We've got the Austin Bats again, a top-ranked team, 158, 133 over the Texas Red Wolves. Looking at this is a divisional game. This is a big game, and I actually want to pull up the stats on that if we could. The Nashville Aces with a 200-point game, 202-117 over the Louisville Pros. Anytime you can score 200 points, very, very impressive feat there. So you got the Aces books up here. George Stanbury, 44 points. Marquand Tucker, 39 points. So almost 40 there. Stanbury over 40. Also see a bunch of these guys with double figures in rebounding. So we got Tucker with a double-double, 12 rebounds there. Also with 5 assists and 6 steals. Shout out for that. Mike Wallace with 15 points and 15 rebounds. Taj Wells, 16 rebounds. And then we got a bunch of guys in double digits as far as scoring goes. Clemens with 13, Jolly 15, Little 25, Lockett 14, Norfleet 27. And that should cover the guys there. 12 assists as well, a double-double effort there for DJ Little. Just one shy there for Lockett with 9, but also 8 steals for Lockett. So almost a triple double there, actually. Looking at the pros, though, it looks like they may have been a little shorthanded. Looks like I only see 7 guys on that roster here. Dominique Williams leading the way with 47 points, as well as 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 9 steals. So a triple double for him on that effort. 1 steal away from a quadruple double. I don't know if we've ever seen one of those, or at least one that I can remember in my history of seeing the ABA games and checking that. Um, but it's an interesting one. Shamar Overstreet with a triple double as well, 17 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists, and 4 steals. Anthony Southers leading the way on the boards with 17 rebounds there. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's still a good, um, good effort, good stat wise for guys like Williams and Overstreet, who you've seen throughout the year put up those type of efforts. But I mean, if you look at the biggest difference here is going to be the shooting percentage. Obviously, I feel like that's kind of a given anytime there's such a big difference in score, and also rebounding. It looks like total rebounding there as well. And actually, steals is crazy in this. If you look at this, 32 steals for the Aces and 23 steals for the Pros. So high on both ends there. Um, but shooting wise, you look at this. Um, the Aces shooting almost 70% from three, 65% from the field, and only missing 1 free throw. Um, Louisville, a little bit over 50% from the field on free throws, and overall, right around the 50% from the field, and then 40 from beyond the arc. But when you're playing a team that shoots almost 70 there, that's just difficult to defend against. The Aces, I mean, if you look at this, they had 3 quarters with over 50 points scored, which is very impressive. And 61 in that last quarter to put them over that 200 mark. So really big game there for the Aces to kind of solidify themselves in that top ranking in the ABA. Buffalo Extreme still undefeated there, 147, 117 over Rochester. Um, Knoxville Commerce, it looks like that is a forfeit, if I'm not mistaken, against the Florida Tropics. So Florida Tropics get the win there, and the Commerce, I believe, dropped that game. Then on the 28th of December, nothing really as far as impactful for our region or division. Taking a look at what we got coming up this weekend. Again, we are still off this weekend with the holidays and such. We'll be back the following next weekend. So we've got Louisville Pros taking on the St. Louis Spirit. That's again going to be a game within our division to keep an eye on as far as rankings go. Within our region, we've got the Chicago Knights taking on the Rebels. Chicago Fury traveling to Clarksville to take on the Phoenix. Let's see what else we've got here. Looks like the Fury are also scheduled to take on the Ohio Kings on the same day. So I guess we'll see which one of those is correct. Sure, only one of those could be correct. Well, I guess we will figure that out. It also has a Knoxville Commerce scheduled against the Clarksville Phoenix. So I'm sure one of those games is mixed up, whether it's the Fury against the Phoenix or the Commerce. We'll figure that out, I guess. When we look at the results from this past week or from this weekend coming up here, then on Sunday, got the Missouri Capitals taking on the Windy City Inferno. And Legends scheduled to take on the Pros. I think that's pretty much it as far as within our division and region there. Yeah, think that's within our division. That's pretty much it. We're gonna jump back over and take a look at the standings within our division and region, see how things are shaking out here. And quick shout out, as always, to Dubby, our official energy provider of the Hoosier State Instigators. Use code Apex Athletics for 10% off your order at w.gg for jitterless energy. It's amazing for people like me, especially when you're working all day, all the way till 3 a.m. So again, w.gg, promo code Apex Athletics for 10% off your order. So taking a look at the standings, we've got the blue division in our region, the central region. The Steel City Yellow Jackets leading the way. 8-0, we've seen them take on and take down several of the top teams within the central region so far. Then we got our division here, the red division. So Nashville Aces remain undefeated, 11-0 on the season. Ohio Kings get their second loss against the Aces, and that drops them down to 6-2 on the year. Still the number two team within the division, but it kind of solidifies them in that spot unless something drastic happens with the Aces throughout the rest of the year. The Indiana Lions are 6-4 currently. So they've kind of got that number three spot pretty secure for the time being. So we got a two-game difference between the Kings and the Lions there, and again, two games between the Kings and the Aces. So kind of a pretty solidified standing in the top three. Once you get to the middle portion here, though, this is where it kind of gets a little messy. So we got the Legends at 4-5. We've got us, the Instigators, at 3-3, and we've got the Phoenix at 3-5. Those three teams within that, kind of all within a game or so of each other. I guess Phoenix are technically 2 games behind us at this point. They do have two more games though, and then just because of the number of games we've played, they do have us behind the Legends as far as that goes. But obviously, if we could get a win the next week, then that changes, and we would jump up above the Legends as far as I'm aware. But we also got the Shuckers and the Commerce now with 2 wins. So that puts the Shuckers at 2-5, the Commerce at 2-6, and then the Louisville Pros at 1-8. So still a lot of potential for movement within the middle portion of that. And then obviously, if we can go on a run here, and say we win the next 3 games, that would actually put us at 6-3, and that would put us above the Lions at that point. So something to keep an eye on there. That middle portion is kind of fluid for this time being over the next few weeks, and then as we get closer into the end of this month and going into February, I think that's kind of going to be a little bit more solidified, and we'll be able to see kind of as things are falling where it looks like it's gonna go when it comes to play-ins and playoff games. But as of right now, I feel like we would technically be en route to maybe getting our first playoff berth. So keep an eye on that. Looking over at the black division, I don't 100% know how this happens as far as tiebreakers and whatnot. Chicago Fury at 10-2. It looks like they have them at the top over the Windy City Inferno, who are 9-1. Um, Not 100% sure on that because I feel like the 9-1 would be better than the 10-2. But I think technically it's like the same, but they have more games, so that's why they're ahead. But anyways, as the schedule evens out, I think that it is probably going to be the Inferno up there on top of that division once they have the same number of games played. Jumping over to the white division, 402 Elite leading the way, and they're pretty much out ahead by a good bit with a 4-2 record right now. Jumping over to the East region, In the blue division, we've got the New England Lightning leading the way at 9-0. Over in the white division, we got a few of the powerhouse teams we've seen. Buffalo Extreme, one of the top ranked teams, 11-0. Wyoming Valley Clutch, 8-0. Also undefeated. I believe they are also in that top 25 rankings. Binghamton Bulldogs, a traditional powerhouse team, 6-3. Find themselves in that third spot within the white division. Black division out east, we've got the Long Island Strong Arm at 8-1. Again, they're pretty steadily leading that division. Then over in the red division out east, we've got the Edgewood 96ers is 7-1. Game above the Richmond Ram Chargers at 6-2. We jump down south. We got the Mississippi Silverbacks undefeated at 8-0, leading the way in the Black Division. And Black Division, one of the divisions with a bunch of teams in there. The next team in that division would be the Tri-City Takeover at 5-2. If we look at the Blue Division, we've got the Austin Bats at 10-0, leading the way by a few games over the Alamo City All Stars at 8-2. But Austin Bats still undefeated, still one of the top ranked teams in the nation. Red division out in the south, the Atlanta Defenders lead away at 10-1. Chattanooga Strike also with one loss, 8 wins on the season. So those are going to be your top teams within that division. The white division, we've got the Florida Tropics leading the way 6-1 over the County Royals of Lakeland at 5-3. Out in the West, we've got the weirder divisions out there every time. But taking a look at the Alpha Conference Division A, got Las Vegas Royals at 9-2, leading the way in their division. Then we got the San Diego teams out in Division B. The Mob 8-0, leading the way. Suns just behind them at 8-1. Then looking at the Beta Conference, Division A, we got the San Jose teams, the Wolfpack 6-3, over top of the Knights, who are still looking for their first win. Then we've got the Silicon Valley Panthers leading the way in Beta Conference Division B, still undefeated at 9-0, pretty handedly out in front in their division. Taking a look at the leaders in the stats across the league. We've got Kenny Holmes Jr. leading the way with 44 points per game for the Steel City Yellow Jackets. Mook Bates at 43.3. Central PA Kings. Mike Saunders Jr. of the Indiana Legends, 42.5. We just seen him firsthand a couple weeks ago, and that's definitely something he can do. Put up those big numbers there. Another Steel City Yellow Jackets, Dylan Cormier, 41.4. Tyrone Jordan, 40.2. In Windy City Inferno, we've got Rodney Gaston Jr., 39. I believe that's the St. Louis Spirit, 36.2 for Taryn Robinson. Ohio Kings got the 10th guy there, Marlon Lions, 34.7 per game. Rebounds per game, we've got Pierre Walters, 22, still leading the way there. Chicago Furies, Capri Austin, second at 19 per game. Justin Mann, 16.8. Louisville Pros, we got Anthony Southers at 16.6, number 4. Marquel Butler at 5, 16.3. He's actually tied there, 16.3 with 6 and 7 there, with Kylan Fairley and Linnell Watson of the Chicago Fury. And then looking at assists per game, we've got Cameron Moore leading the way with 14.4. Christopher Camarte behind him at number 2, 12.8. Randall Smith, 11.6. Jamichael Brown, 11.4, tied there with Dominique Williams of the Louisville Pros. And for the Aces, you got DJ Little just behind him at 10.6. And 10.5, you got Shamar Overstreet, another player on the Louisville Pros. So bunch of guys within our division you see there. Then looking at steals per game, you got Dominique Williams leading the way with 8 steals per game. Again, on the Louisville Pros, they're one of their leaders there. Then we got 7 per game for both Antonio Hunt and Alex Marzette. And round out the top 5, we've got Calvin Goodwin at 6.3 and Shane DeRosa at 5.9. Actually, he's tied there with Cortez Cheney. We see there a lot of them for. I'm gonna just take a look at what the team name is. They're TPK leading the way. It looks like Texas Purple Kings makes sense. So Texas Purple Kings with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the top 10 steal leaders in the ABA. So that's what we got as far as the games go for the past few weeks and stat leaders. We're gonna stop sharing that screen. We're gonna jump over to the other screen here in just a minute. Take a look at the power rankings within the ABA. All right, I think we got that pulled up. Yep, we do. So the top teams stayed the same. Buffalo Extreme and Austin Bats tied again for the number 1 spot. Again, I'm not 100% sure how they decide when it comes to that, as far as how they threw 2 teams up there tied for number 1. Again, I get the Buffalo Extreme. They had been the outright number 1. You can't really fault them for anything at this point, so they're gonna have to stay at that number 1 spot. Austin Bats, again, they're also very impressive from not only this season, but last season as well. So I understand, again, where they're ranking up there towards the top. I would argue possibly for the Aces to also jump up there if you're going to have teams tied for that number 1 spot. The Aces just had a 200-point game, and they've been kind of blowing some teams out in their victories. And they've also had 2 wins over, one of the other top-ranked teams in the league, and the Ohio Kings. When I'm talking about that, who the only losses they've had were against the Nashville Aces. But again, I think there's an argument you could make there for the Aces to possibly jump up and be tied for that number 1 spot again. But it's hard for the other teams above them, the Extreme and the Bats, to kind of drop them down when it comes to that. But again, I don't 100% know how they decide these tied rankings sometimes. Silicon Valley Panthers at 8-0. You could argue for them as well because they've been a top-ranked team in the top Final Four past 2 years. So just a traditional type of thing as well for them going on. New England Lightning 9-0. They're still undefeated. They're going to be number 4. San Diego Mob at 5, 8-0. Wyoming Valley Clutch 8-0 as well as the Steel City Yellow Jackets, number 6 and 7. Again, I think you could even argue for some of these teams to jump higher too. It's a little bit hard to rank sometimes when they have these undefeated teams. Obviously, you're going to put them at the top of the rankings, but sometimes it's a little bit of you could make a case for a lot of these teams as far as above or below each other. Mississippi Silverbacks round out the undefeated teams there at 7-0. They're the number 8 team in the nation. The Windy City Inferno, they are tied with the Atlanta Defenders at 10-1, and they're tied for that number 9 power ranking. So I would have to believe then at that point they're above the Chicago Fury when it comes to the division standings because of that. You got the Las Vegas Royals at 10-2, the number 10 team in the nation. Chicago Fury, the defending champions, at 9-2, number 11 in the nation. And a few more one-loss teams round out the next few spots there. Long Island Strong Arm Ballers, 8-1. Chattanooga Strike, 8-1. San Diego Sun, 7-1. Edgewood 96ers, 7-1. That is your 12, 13, 14, and 15 teams. The Ohio Kings, aforementioned Ohio Kings, at 7-2. Their only 2 losses again against the Nashville Aces. That puts them at number 16. Chicago Knights at number 18. not our division, but our region at 8-3. Florida Tropics, a newer team, or a new team this year, who's been impressive at 6-1, at number 20 there in the rankings. Um, and to round out the top 25, you got the Indian Alliance there at the number 25 spot. So you see there, as far as the top 25 goes, within our division, just our division alone, you got the Nashville Aces at number 2. You got the Ohio Kings at 7 and 2, at 16, and the Indian Alliance at 25. So the three top teams within our division all ranked in the top 25. And then you extend it to our region. Obviously, you can have more on there as well. But as far as the division, already 3 of the top 25 teams there. So that's where things are standing right now. Obviously, we got games coming up this weekend that could impact some of these a little bit. Again, we're still off this weekend. Next weekend, we'll be back. I believe we're playing the Monstars. Get confirmation of that over the next week. Then obviously we'll post about that on socials as well, once I do get confirmation on all that. Um, but yeah, I believe that would be what we got as far as on our schedule from what we had initially. Yeah. So I'll verify that this is all still correct here, before we get too far into the new year. Obviously, we're off this week, so gives us a little bit of time to kind of confirm stuff, make sure nothing's changed as far as that goes. But based off of our initial schedule release, January 10th would be our next game. That's going to be against the Monstars. It looks like a home game there. Then we got a home and away series between the Shockers, the next week, the 17th and 18th. Hopefully, we could get that one on the books. Obviously, that was something we were looking forward to last month, and then weather just did not cooperate. Then it looks like we've got a game against the Windy City Inferno on the 24th. I think that may have switched to a home game. I'll have to double check that. I think the home and away for them might have switched back, for those two games that we got on that initial release. Then we are scheduled to play the number 2 team of the nation, Nashville Aces, January 25th. So that is going to be a big test there. Then we got January 31st at home against the St. Louis Spirit. Our first game against newly formed Bison on February 14th. Also got a game to wrap up the year against them on the road on March 1st. And then I think, again, I think we switched to home and away series with the Inferno. I think that's actually going to be an away game on February 21st. And then February 28th is what our last home game is scheduled currently, against the Capitals. But keep an eye out. We'll be posting some stuff here. I'm just going to get some confirmations now that we're in the new year, just to make sure, there's not any changes when it comes to that. And then obviously we have a couple of games that we had to reschedule. So we'll have to get those worked in there as well, or figured out and whatnot. So keep an eye out for all that. But we'll definitely be posting that on socials, once we do have everything kind of squared away with that. But obviously, if you've been with us year over year, you know that is a little bit of a fluid situation sometimes, as we do get later into this season. Not only because of games getting rescheduled, weather and scheduling conflicts, but obviously, some of these teams do wind up kind of going on a hiatus, later into the season too. So we'll get all that communicated. Obviously next week we'll let you know for sure if we are playing a game. But that's what we got looking up at the 2026 portion of our schedule. Obviously, I think looking at this, from an Instigators fan perspective, I think we're going to be pretty happy. I think with what we got on the rest of the season scheduling wise. Obviously, we got a few tough games on there. The game against the Aces, I think that's obviously going to be our most difficult game on the year. The 2 games against the Inferno, another top-ranked team, those are also going to be pretty tough games there. Other than that, though, I feel like we're looking pretty positively towards these games. I think the Shuckers are a team, it's going to be a kind of like a toss-up, when it comes to that. Bison, we've never played before. Spirit and the Capitals kind of same boat for that as well. So a lot of new teams will be seeing the Monsters. It'll be the first time that we do play them if that does all go through. So a lot of new faces we'll be seeing as far as the games go. Um, but that's what we've got looking at in the new year. But we'll keep you updated next week. We'll get that kind of clarified as far as the scheduling goes. If I have any updates for you guys. And then we're also going to continue to break down the standings within the ABA and the rankings and whatnot, and kind of look at the way as we get closer and closer to that. To the end of the regular season and see how things kind of shake out when it comes down to the playoffs, and hopefully we find ourselves locking our way into the playoffs for the first time rather than having to go into the play-in tournaments as we have the past few years, past couple of years actually. 2 years. This is our third year, but that's what we've got going on. Again, we'll keep you all the way updated on that as we go throughout the season. But I think that's going to be it for tonight's episode. Welcome back from the break from last week. Obviously with the holidays and such. Again, happy New Year to everyone. Happy 2026. As of right now, we are undefeated in 2026. It goes for basically every team. But we'll be having undefeated record at least for one more week. With us being off for this weekend. We'll be back though. We're scheduled next week for basketball action again, but we'll get everything posted on socials as far as clarifying if anything does change with scheduling and whatnot. Also be on the lookout for we're gonna have a new night for motorsports night, so we should be getting that announced here, uh, hopefully in the next week, if not the next 2 weeks. I do think we'll kind of have that solidified and make that announcement again. We are looking forward to that again. Obviously, that's going to be a huge night, big night for us. Have a celebrity player, Brayton Laster, um, and that whole night presented by Lucas Oil IRP. So really looking forward to that. Once we have that solidified, we'll have the announcement out again. But I'd say over the next week or two, I would expect that to come out too. But it'll give you enough time for planning to go out to that as well, if that is a game that you have scheduled that you're looking forward to. Um, but that is going to be it for tonight's episode. It was episode 114 of Instigate Success, Building an ABA Franchise, the official podcast of your Hoosier State Instigators. Until next time, as always, be great and instigate. We will see you back here Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, as always, for supporting your Hoosier State Instigators. See ya.